Hey everyone, we are at this beautiful Airbnb house in Two Rivers, Wisconsin, which is just up the road from Manitowoc with our Tesla Model Y. Now, this house does not have level 2 charging, but it does have level 1 charging because it has an outlet. We do have access to the garage, which is very cool. And so one of the first things I did was to scout out an outlet in the garage. And because it's an older house, you can kind of see by the framing here and glass block, I wanted to make sure that the wiring was decent. You can actually see the color coding of the wiring because it's exposed, but the box itself looked very modern. There was only one minor appliance plugged into it, and it looks like it's just a little battery charger, which it was already full, so it wasn't going to draw very much. So what I did is I plugged in my Tesla UMC. Now in this case I have the 20 amp adapter, and so it can pull up to 16 amps. You can see here the max charging amps is 16 for this particular inlet adapter. I currently have it set at 12 amps because it's a 15 amp outlet, I believe. And I didn't want to test it any further, but when I first got here, I took this down to 8 amps. And the next thing I did is I went over to that outlet and actually felt to see if it was getting warm after half an hour. And it wasn't. Not even mildly. So then the next thing I did is I took it up to 10 amps, did the same thing, let it run for about an hour, and then I took it up to 12 amps. Now in this case, my car lets me do this, but the charging cable does not. If your car doesn't allow you to do that, perhaps a charging cable like the Grizzly Mini or some others will let you turn down the amps. So that to me is the right procedure. Make sure that none of this is getting hot. So even after running overnight, this is really just barely warm. The box itself, any of the inlet cables are not getting warm. So I'm pretty confident here that this is pulling the right amount of amps and not overheating any of the circuits. When we pulled in last night, we came in at 55% after a trip to Green Bay. So overnight, I picked up the charge to get me to 80%. I actually set the max to 85. Because we're going to be here a couple more minutes and before we check out, so why not get a little extra juice. It's actually showing me 5 hours remaining to get to my charge limit of 85. We're never going to reach that. So what this allowed me to do on this trip, which is just under 300 miles so far, is to only charge on level 1 and level 2, except for one supercharger stop somewhere near Sheboygan. We went from Muskegon to Milwaukee on the Lake Express ferry, went up to Sheboygan. There's a supercharger here. We grabbed the food that we needed during that charge and then went up to Two Rivers. We also went up to Champion, which is just outside of Green Bay. Green Bay, came back, and then on the way home from the Badger, we're going to go from Ludington to Muskegon, which is another 50-ish miles. So I expect overall to have less than 400 miles. So not an epic road trip by any proportion. But the point is that even today, 2025, level 1 charging is still relevant. So if you're going to a friend's house, to an Airbnb, someplace where it's safe to plug in, you have permission to plug in, ask to pay if that's relevant. And you're going to get whatever it is, 1.5, 2 kilowatts. And so times the number of hours, multiply by 10 hours, 15, 20 kilowatt hours. So, and that's relevant. I mean, that's the amount of driving you might do on errands or whatever it is that you're doing the next day. So to me, definitely still worth doing. I also picked up a level 2 charge in Green Bay. My total charging cost for this trip was somewhere around $7.50 for the supercharging session, a little bit over $1 for the level 2 in Green Bay, and then obviously I'm paying for the Airbnb, so it's not free, but I would say it's included. And I'm also not counting the charging that I'm going to have to do at home. I'm probably going to get home with, 50 or 60%. So I'll have to top up to 80% to really get me back to where I was before I left on the trip. But overall, I would say definitely less than 15, 20 bucks for this trip. And the convenience of not having to do a lot of charging and looking for chargers and things like that. So it's always a good idea to have your universal mobile charging cable, whether it's Tesla or another brand like Grizzly, with a level 1 adapter, and I always carry my level 2 NEMA 1450 adapter as well. charge while you can. ABC, always be charging if you can. Hope you found this useful, and we'll see you next time.